UW360 is proudly supported by Pacific Office Automation, copy, print, workflow, and IT. Problem solved.
When the family of the late Gordon Hirabayashi presented his Presidential Medal of Freedom to the University of Washington in February, his story came full circle.
He really started a very vital and relevant chapter of American history, and a story that we here at the University of Washington, and that I hope across the nation and world, know that it's a story that must continue to be told.
Hirabayashi was a University of Washington senior in 1942 when the federal government ordered Japanese Americans to internment camps.
And Gordon Hirabayashi, on constitutional grounds, refused to follow that exclusion order because of racial ancestry. He said this was a case of racial discrimination.
Let me begin by asking all of you a question.
Tetsuden Kashima is a professor in the University of Washington's Department of American Ethnic Studies. He says 120,000 Japanese Americans on the West Coast were forced from their homes and sent to camps.
In 1941, there were more than 440 Japanese American students at the University of Washington. That means they were the largest minority on campus.
Some Japanese American students sought transfers to schools in other parts of the country, but not Hirabayashi. Professor Kashima says the 24-year-old made a conscious decision to defy the presidential order.
In order to protest, often you have to break the law, which means that if you break the law, then you could be charged and you could be sentenced if you're found guilty.
Hirabayashi was convicted of violating both the government's curfew and internment order and sent to prison. The conviction for curfew violation was even upheld by the U.S. Supreme Court. But in the 1980s, Hirabayashi's case was reopened and his convictions overturned.
Now, I have written hundreds of judicial opinions, but I think that Hirabayashi is the only one I ever wrote that I was sure from the beginning was right historically, legally, intellectually, and morally.
Judge Schroeder was on hand at a symposium honoring Hirabayashi's legacy. Friends and colleagues remembered his pacifism, his courage, and his words.
And if a government could do this sort of thing, they could keep us apart.
After the war, Hirabayashi continued his studies and went on to teach in the Middle East and Canada. He died in 2012, never knowing that he was to receive this country's highest civilian award. Now his widow, Susan Carnahan, has given it to the University of Washington.
Gordon was educated at this university. He received his 3 degrees here, and he just loved this institution.
Hirabayashi's family also presented the university with thousands of his papers, letters, and photos. Under the guidance of Ann Jenner, the Pacific Northwest curator of the library's special collections, the documents were organized, labeled, and cataloged. Some of the most significant documents were displayed in the Allen Library, among them old family photos and Hirabayashi's yearbook photo from Auburn High School. Jenner says Hirabayashi's papers will be available for scholars and researchers, a gift for future generations. And there is a less tangible effect here on campus, proof that a single young person can make a difference.
It gives me a chance to, or any of us, a chance to see the world with new eyes and believe that great things people are capable of great things.
And so his legacy is one that we all must, I think, understand and protect and be willing to defend, even if we have to go to prison ourselves if we think that strongly about it.
I took a stand and I can't give it up.